WWDC, the most WWW thing that Apple could ever do. Hey there, friends on YouTube. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech, so honest it hurts. Today we got a lot of stuff announced and released, or maybe sort of gonna be released or something like that. There was stuff at this WWDC 2019 event that Apple put on for the developers, but there was also some hardware. Hardware is always good. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. But there is way too much for me to go detail by detail and not make this like a 30-minute video. So I'm going to skim a lot of stuff. I'm going to skim things that are maybe somewhat important, but not as important as some of the other things. Like Apple Card is coming this summer, and yay, all of mankind rejoices. We got a sneak peek at Apple TV Plus, the TV show that's like an alternate future thing. It looked pretty cool. tvOS designed differently now with multiple users and all kinds of Xbox. Oh, you can use the Xbox One and the PS DualShock 4 controllers to play the games that aren't yet available, but will be available. New screensavers. WatchOS 5 new watch faces that, just really turned the whole place went wild. Oh my God. Watch faces. Taptic chimes now on the watch. So your watch will buzz you on the hour. And if you have sound turned on, it will tweet. A little bird will tweet off your wrist. Oh boy. Health app got a lot of new love in the for the Apple Watch as well, which is great. You can do things now like if as a female, if you're a female, you can do things like track your menstrual cycle, which is cool, which is a good thing, which I'm sure many people over many eons have wished that they could do on a device like the Apple Watch, and now you can. So there are a lot of good things that can come out of that. Wait. Anyway, also built-in Shazam, so you'll know what music is playing right there on your wrist. It's great. Then you got to iOS. They said iOS has a 97% satisfaction rate. The customers love it. What? 97%? 97% of whom? Of whom? They're going to integrate Swipe into the Apple keyboard, so you don't have to go use Gboard if you want to do that anymore. Maps, they got some new maps going. They look like maps instead of like just little scratches on a thing. HomeKit stuff. You can finally edit video and do color correction and turn the video a new way in the Apple Photo app on the iOS device. So that's good. They also announced that you can use handoff with the Apple Music app and the HomePod, which means you can come home and you can just like say, yo, can you please play this, HomePod? And the HomePod picks it right up and goes. The only problem is somebody's going to have to buy the HomePod. Have you ever gone into your Best Buy and just looked at the HomePod section of the Best Buy is a wasteland of returned open box items. It's a sad thing to witness, but that's how it is. Then they got the iPad OS. iPad OS, they got icons on the screen. iPad OS. You can pin widgets to the screen, and you can do a lot of different stuff with second screen and split view and slide over, which I still haven't figured out how to use, so I guess I need to figure that out. But maybe the most important thing, pow! USB drives can be plugged into your iPad now, and it can be recognized, and you can transfer files that way. The file system I'm not sure. It's still not really a file system, but they got new files, and you can import stuff straight from your camera. It's almost like it's a real computer, a real computing device. The iPad for all these years has been the Pinocchio of computing devices, but now it's becoming a real little boy. Getting these features. Yay! Tim Cook. I don't know what Tim Cook was on, during this event. But man, he came out like I thought he was gonna have a stroke. He was so excited. He's like, rah! You know, sort of like Howard Dean at the Democratic National. Okay, you know, rah! Anyway, Tim was very excited, and I think they may have put something in his green tea to make him that excited. Regardless, I think all of the Apple presentation squad was maybe coaching him up to be a little bit more enthusiastic because they were. But when you don't really have all that great a stage presence in the first place, like being overly enthusiastic and having bad stage presence it's awkward. It's like watching a mime. Tim Cook came out after all this iOS stuff and iPad OS, and he's like, "Wow, that's blow away, amazing, huge releases." I was like, Tim, boy, they need to adjust the dose. But that's where, and that's the point where this whole thing started to get interesting, because then they brought out some sort of kitchen appliance with a screen beside it. What's that you say? Oh, that was the new Mac Pro. New Mac Pro. They brought out the new Mac Pro. That looks like some sort of kitchen appliance or something that was put together out of spare parts in a machining shack, like, you know, just leftover pieces of aluminum with handles. It's got handles. So I can't complain about the handles. I love the handles on the old Mac Pro, but they took cheese grater to a whole new place. The old Mac Pro was called the cheese grater Mac Pro because it kind of looked like a cheese grater on the front with all those venting holes. But man, they went full cheese grater with this guy. You could grate cheese with this. You could grate cheese with this thing. Big holes and like secondary holes inside and all that kind of stuff. Cheese grater. It looked like it could have been a radiator for a futuristic car of some kind. At any rate, the machine itself looks on paper amazing. It's obviously going to be an amazing computer. I'm going to get that right out there so haters don't hate. It's going to be an amazing computer, but I do have some things that I want to discuss about here. So you get up to 28 cores of CPU goodness. That's amazing. You get 1 terabyte worth of memory, possible 6 DIMM slots, I guess. That's a lot. 8 DIMM slots. 8 DIMM slots. You got something they call an MPX module that allows you to have multiple graphics cards. Now, we were all wondering, how are they going to do this? They said it was a modular Mac Pro back in the day, and we really didn't know what that meant. But it is modular. You can put all kinds of different things in there, and it'll be great. You can put in lots of graphics cards. You could put in something they call an afterburner. You can put in a lot of different Avid modules for music recording stuff. If you're talking graphics, they have this afterburner thing that will take your graphics cards and just like afterburn them, I guess, make them much better. So you can work with ProRes and ProRes RAW files in this machine without proxies. So you can get up to 3 streams of 8K into this machine and running in real time as you're editing. That's incredible. And 12 streams of 4K. I have only one camera, but 12 streams of 4K also possible if you max this thing out to the most possible, like, highest thing. This is one, if you're going to get one of these machines, you might want to let your local utilities provider that you're getting one, because it comes with a 1.4 kilowatt power supply. 1.4 kilowatts. That's a lot of kilowatts. And wait for it, optional wheels. Okay, so it's a very impressive machine. The stuff that they were talking about was just incredible. But then, they announced, then they went on to talk about what I was really wondering. They were demoing this Mac Pro on screens that looked like some sort of like aluminum modern art on the back. Looked like maybe they were made out of spare car parts. that might have been laying around somebody's garage. But the screen itself looked great. And what is it? What is it? It is the app. It is the Pro Display XDR 6K, 32 inches. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. They went through so many things that are, 4 Thunderbolt ports. It's just, it's really cool. And it has this stand that's like a zero gravity kind of stand thing. And it was, oh man, something else. Then they went to the prices. So the Mac Pro starts at $5,999, which is expensive, but the iMac Pro starts at $5,000. So, but you get a 5K screen with that. You have to buy the screen separately here. So $5,099. What does that get you? What does $5,099 get you? It gets you 8 cores, okay, a Xeon processor. It also gets you a Radeon 580X graphics card. A graphics card that's easily 2 years old, if not a day, that is outpaced by everything else in the market right now, including other AMD cards. For God's sake, the iMac Pro comes in with the Vega 56. So how do they put a 580 in this machine and charge $6,000 for it? But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. They give you, to make up for the whole thing, they give you 256 gigabytes of internal SSD storage. That is a load of crap. Let's just be clear. $6,000, you get an old graphics card and 256 gigabytes of storage in a chassis that looks like a kitchen appliance. Good. Way to go, Apple. Now, the machines that are totally spec'd out, amazing. Amazing. I can't figure out who would need to use them. I mean, who needs 1,000 tracks in Logic Pro? Who needs it? I've never needed more than like 16, maybe 24. Maybe 24. But I'm just a rock and roller. So what do I know? What do I know? Anyway, the display comes in at a cool $4,999. And that's for just the regular display. They also have like a matte finished one where the glass is actually etched so that you get a matte finish, but without the matte. Anyway, etched glass, very sexy, very cool, very good, I'm going to imagine. That one is $5,999. Let's just say you go base model, everything, base model Pro Display, base model Mac Pro, you're looking at $11,000. $11,000 for a Radeon 580X. And less storage than I have in my smartphone. For God's sake. What? Don't buy the base model. Don't buy the base model. Save your birthday money and buy something else. Buy something that actually has real pro parts in it, as opposed to consumer grade parts that are old. Okay? Now, I thought $4,999 for a display, $5,999 for a display. Well, that's pretty expensive, but I mean, it's a really great display, right? Then they said you can get a Visa mount attachment for $199, and I'm like, well, that's kind of expensive for a Visa attachment. And then they said the stand costs $999. So the Pro Display does not come with a stand. The Pro Display doesn't come with a stand. You have to pay an extra $1,000 for it, or you get that Visa mount, I guess, and then you go on Amazon and buy a $30 desk mount, and that's where you put your Pro Display that costs $5,000. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. Oh my God. So then they announced macOS Catalina, which I assume starts their progress through the macOS naming conventions that are all about the different destinations of the Love Boat, right? So next year it'll be macOS Cabo San Lucas. Maybe. There were some cool things about Mac OS. You can use your iPad as like a secondary display, wireless, wired, however you want to do it. Yeah, you're getting 3 apps. Instead of iTunes, you get 3 apps. You get music, you get podcasts, and you get TV. Why did I do it that way? You get music, podcast, TV. Great. The best thing maybe that they showed off the entire time was the accessibility features, where they had a guy who was in a wheelchair. He could only use his voice, and he used his voice to do everything on the Mac that he needed to do. He talked to it, and it did all the stuff. And he went deep into menus and deep into all kinds of stuff and got it done. Made arrangements to go ride around with a friend of his, Tim. You know Tim. And then, and it was cool. But then I thought to myself, like, Siri has been around since what, 2000 something? Long time, 7, 8 years, something like that. I don't know. I don't have it right here on my little wrist communicator. But all the things that accessibility feature did for that guy, that's exactly what Siri is supposed to be. So why isn't Siri that? Why isn't Siri that? They didn't even mention Siri when they were talking about it. It's accessibility. Okay, but it's great. I've talked for too long. I've given myself a crick in my neck. I'm done. That is the WWDC 2019 Apple event in the painfully honest fashion. Let me know what you thought about the event down there in the comments below. I know I didn't talk about the developer stuff, but I mean, it's great for them, but I'm not a developer. Are you a developer? Are you watching Painfully Honest Tech for the developer stuff? No, I didn't think you were. So let's just wrap this thing up. Thank you so much for being here. Talk to me in the comments. All that stuff would be great. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech, so honest. Until the next time, I'm out.